The least motivating job chosen by our group was that of a fast food firm employee. Let's begin by understanding that each component of motivation must be satisfied for a job to be motivating. It creates stress in the person's life if their job does not meet the biological, learned, or cognitive component of motivation. To further explain this phenomenon, a fast food firm job was chosen to understand why so many fast food workers are displeased with their work. In addition, a Pritchard-Ashwood model was developed to demonstrate why the least motivating job there is would be that of a fast food industry worker. Here's an overview of the Pritchard-Ashwood model of motivation. It is a process theory that explains underlying mechanisms that drive human behavior. We all engage in certain actions that lead to certain results. They are evaluated positively or negatively by others or ourselves. There are outcomes that are associated with both the good and the bad evaluations, and then these outcomes are applied into various needs. And if the outcomes meet the needs satisfaction, then we are likely to repeat this behavior again. However, if they do not meet needs satisfaction, we will not repeat the behavior again, or we are less likely to. Let's begin with actions. Working in a fast food restaurant is an initially positive action carried out by many young people that rapidly becomes negative as the person ages. Regardless of whether there is a positive or negative relationship between the action and the worker devotes their energy towards their work for little pay, long working hours, and less than optimal working conditions. Many individuals can also begin to feel constricted in their positions as their skills are not necessarily useful in other jobs and as this job is their only source of income. The results from being employed by a fast food industry are both reinforcer-based and self-value based. Obtaining a secondary reinforcer, such as a paycheck, is what motivates many fast food workers or workers in general, no matter what their age is. Having that said, since fast food restaurants usually pay minimum wage, the results from those secondary reinforcers might not be as satisfactory as one might think. For example, these firms may pay enough for a teen starting out in their first job, but not for someone who's trying to make a living out of it. In addition, the workers may feel dissatisfaction because they often find their jobs invaluable. As far as evaluations go, general feedback from a boss may or may not be a factor of positive results. Fast food restaurants have a fast-paced, high-stress working environment where fast is never fast enough. As a result, a simple, nice job may be a strong enough reinforcer for a young employee, but not necessarily for an older. Sometimes quarterly evaluations are meaningless and don't have much motivational value unless they are followed by a reasonable increase in pay and investment within the company. The outcomes from working long hours, being underpaid, and having meaningless evaluations follows a total discontentment with the job. Most workers of fast food companies do not want to keep working in the hazardous conditions they work in daily. However, this job may be their only source of income, so they have to learn how to deal with it. This necessity of working in less than optimal conditions also creates a lot of tension and stress in the person's life. As mentioned previously, the necessity of obtaining money can be a secondary reinforcer temporarily or while the minimal pay associated with fast food firm jobs is enough to cover living expenses. This satisfaction, however, will be rapidly reduced. Many workers of fast food firms begin working at a young age when they don't have any or many expenses. As they age, nonetheless, their need for an income increases very rapidly. They might need to start paying their own food or cell phone bills. Also, dissatisfactory working conditions increase the risk for injury at work, which leads to a low level of needs satisfaction for many employees. Let's take a look at a specific example of the Pritchard-Ashwood model. Here's Joy, who's gotten a part-time job at a fast food firm to help pay some of his bills. He wants to make sure his job goes smoothly. For the action part of the model, Joy needs to place a food order. By placing a food order, Joy is making sure that the store has enough supplies before they run out. Those are the results. Joy makes sure he's doing his job well to avoid getting a negative evaluation from his boss. And as an outcome, in the process, he is learning about the products and when certain food items should be ordered. By doing his job right, Joey is avoiding any shortages and ensuring that his needs and those of his coworkers are met. To summarize the Pritchard Ashwood model, a job as a fast food worker is not really a career, it's just that, a job. This is demonstrated by each component of the Pritchard Ashwood model because it shows that a job in a fast food industry rarely maintains long term motivation. Let's take a look at the biological component of motivation. When working in the fast food industry, the biological component of motivation plays a large part on how successful you'll be on the job. Even though this might only be a temporary job, basic things such as temperament will be tested. A lot of the times, employees need to learn how to deal with BAS, Behavioral Activation System, and BIS, Behavioral Innovation System, to make sure to make the right decisions, when they should act and when they should just lay low and not do anything. These two systems play an important role in motivation in order to be successful. The biological component of motivation is related to the need of survival. Individuals have the need to survive, and these needs are usually met through both resources and reproduction. Resources to survive can be obtained in multiple forms, but usually one strives to be successful. Being successful with a career that is well paying and has the opportunity to grow and advance within the company will provide a person with the financial stability and the resources he or she needs to survive. As far as reproduction goes, reproduction is important to the individual because we are biologically driven to pass on our genes. The individual is motivated to find a partner that will be able to help with the reproduction of healthy children. Unluckily, fast food industry employees can realize that their job is least motivating because the resources and reproduction they are pursuing either will be difficult to meet or are not going to be met at all. Fast food firms pay minimum wage most of the time, which means that it is not very likely for an individual's minimal needs to be met since the living costs are extremely high nowadays. When these are not met, individuals can feel disappointed and hopeless, leading to them giving up in most of the cases. So, biologically speaking, a position in a fast food firm is least motivating to the worker because he or she will have difficulties meeting the basic needs of survival. Psychologists state that attention plays a huge role in learning. Humans are motivated to learn and grow, and they cannot do this without adequate attention. The kind of job fast food firm employees have to do does not provide a working environment with the ability to learn and grow. And since the environment can control their situation, they will never change or succeed. Many of the tasks they do, such as cooking, cleaning, and working the cash registers, are tedious, unconscious, and become routine. Since these tasks don't require much attention or learning, they're not very motivating. This habituation leads to lack of creativity as well and doesn't let the employee succeed in a way that they would want to, lowering their drive. Something that is vital in the learning component of motivation is reward. Fast food employees' pay is relatively low, usually minimum wage, and not worth the daily stress that they have to deal with, like angry or rude customers. Many employees would feel unmotivated because they feel they are not rewarded for their effort they put in. They will learn from this lack of reward and therefore not try their best or would just do the bare minimum. Extinction is an instrumental learning concept in which non-rewarded response will lessen in strength. So basically, when a person is rewarded, they will perform the behavior you want them to, but when this reward is taken away, the specific behavior will decrease. So if a fast food employee continually does not get rewarded for their work, recognition, praise, money, then they will not be motivated to do what they're supposed to do. Seligman's model of learned helplessness implies that helplessness shows a belief about the success of responding. Learned helplessness is the feeling of lacking control over situations. If a fast food worker cannot cope because they don't think they are smart enough or they have repeatedly horrible days and they think no matter what they do their situation won't change, then they will acquire the mindset of why even try, which leads to an unmotivated workers and employees with no drive. The social incentive theory shows humans seek approval and avoid disapproval. However, many of fast food firm employees don't get noticed by their bosses, or even they don't really pay attention to their bosses, so they don't care much for approval. Therefore, the lack of approval and positivity leads to lower drive and no motivation or ambition. Imitation and observation learning are also vital. Many fast food employees learn from observing those around them. Since a lot of the workers don't really strive for excellence, it becomes a cycle where not many employees are motivated or doing what they're supposed to be doing. A fast food employee can watch the bad habits of coworkers and pick up on these habits rather quickly. They don't necessarily have the best resources or example to see what attempting to obtain a goal or what striving to be the best employee looks like. The book states that once we have learned a particular behavior, it is very difficult to change it, and this causes problems with unmotivated employees in the fast food industry. Dead-end jobs consume so much mental energy that people struggling to make ends meet often have little brain power left for anything else, leaving them more susceptible to make bad decisions that can perpetuate their situation. People of limited means are more likely to make mistakes and bad decisions than may amplify by their financial woes. They don't or can't get the skills needed to advance up or out of these types of jobs, which should breed to the idea of learner helplessness, as mentioned previously. The results of a recent study designed to test the capacity and decision making of fast food workers show that people wrestling with the mental strain of poverty and low income suffered a drop of as much as 13 points in their IQ. Pressing financial concerns had an immediate impact on the ability of low income individuals to perform on common cognitive and logic tests. This could be attributed to people being subjected to long hours and night shifts with no sleep. The stress that the poor may be experiencing from the scarcity of money at some level may begin to affect their cognitive capacity. When you're captured by these monetary issues, how to pay rent, how to pay the bills, you're less attentive to other problems. You neglect other things in life that deserve your attention. A person's cognitive function is diminished by the constant and all consuming effort of coping with the immediate effects of having little money. Thusly, a person is left with fewer mental resources to focus on complicated, indirectly related matters such as education, job training, and even managing their time. Due to the complete failure of satisfying the biological, learned, and cognitive components of motivation, fast food work is the least motivating job there is. Furthermore, there is a negative relationship between fast food work and each component of the Pritchard-Ashford model.